Hi guys, Alex here from ALEXEIR Studios. In today's episode we're recreating the different color eye effect and CGI makeup seen on the character Delirium in Netflix's The Sandman series. I just love the series so much, so I saw this character and I thought, we need to do this effect. This should be a relatively simple tutorial and we won't be using any plugins to create the effect this time. Everything will be created using built-in After Effects features. Now, a bit of filming tips. The only tip I really have here is make sure that the irises in your clip are clearly visible. And this mainly depends on the lighting in your shot, because the more detail you have in your actor's eyes, the better the effect will look. And as for the makeup, ideally you would actually do real makeup on the actor before filming. That's how they did it in the series anyway. It was by no means CGI makeup. It just so happens that we didn't film our clip specifically for this tutorial. Instead, we chose the most suitable footage for this effect from our existing footage library. So because of that, there is no makeup on the actress to match Delirium's look in the series. But if you can, definitely make sure to do the makeup on set. CGI makeup is cool if you want to enhance the look or if you don't have an opportunity to work with a makeup artist, for example. But otherwise, always aim to do as much as you possibly can in camera. And before we jump into After Effects, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the future uploads. This really helps the channel grow and keeps the tutorials coming. We would also appreciate a like and a comment. Let's get to editing. Okay, so we will first focus on the main part of the tutorial, which is creating the green and blue eye look. And our first step is going to be tracking the eyes. I would usually do any tracking using Spot Clone Tracker from Red Giant, but today we aren't using any plugins, so Motion Tracker it is. So the first thing we'll need to do is we need to go to Layer, New, and Null Object. Right away we can just rename the layer to Right Eye Null. Then clicking Ctrl D on your keyboard, you can just duplicate the layer and rename it to Left Eye Null. Great, now click on the raw clip, go through the footage and pause on a frame where the irises have most detail in them. So make sure the irises on this frame aren't blurry or anything like that. I'm going to open up the tracker, so Window, Tracker, and in the tracking panel I will choose Track Motion. Now you see the tracker appear on the screen. You need to adjust its size and track a detailed area in your iris. So in my case, I had this clear reflection in the pupil. I am going to track that. So whatever you track, just make sure that it is some kind of a high contrast point. You can track the whole iris, a reflection, whatever is suitable for your clip. So I'm just adjusting the tracker size to the reflection, making the track area a bit bigger, and then I'm clicking on Edit Target. In the layer, make sure that you're selecting the correct null layer for the eye you're tracking. So for example, I'm tracking the right eye first, therefore I'm selecting the right eye null. And once you do that, you can simply click Analyze. You can track the clip backwards or forward. I'm first tracking backwards, then I'm coming back to the frame I started tracking on, and I'm going to track the rest of the clip forward. Once the tracking is done, click Apply, make sure X and Y is selected, and click OK. With the raw clip selected, I will click on Track Motion again, and now we're going to repeat the same process for the left eye. So I'm also adjusting the tracker size, and I'm going to be tracking the left eye's reflection. In Edit Target, make sure Left Eye Null is selected, and also analyze the clip backwards or forward. Again, click on Apply, make sure X and Y is selected, and click OK. Our next step is going to be creating the masks for irises. So I will go to Layer, New, Solid, and I'm renaming the layer to Right Eye Mask. I am then duplicating the layer and renaming it to Left Eye Mask. Next, I am going to parent the Right Eye Mask to Right Eye Null layer. As you can see, our solid now moves with the eyes. Also parent the Left Eye Mask to the Left Eye Null. You can then hide both solid layers. And now we will get to creating the masks. The mask around the iris will need to be very precise. So for the mask, I will select the ellipse tool, and holding the Shift key on my keyboard, I will create a circle mask to match the iris's shape. Using the pen tool, you can then create 4 keyframes in the empty spaces. This way you will be able to adjust the mask precisely. Make sure the mask is well adjusted. If you need to see more detail, you can also increase preview exposure, and just make sure that the mask is precisely adjusted to the iris's shape. I will then create a keyframe on the mask path, and I will go through the entire clip to make sure that the mask is properly tracked everywhere. In my case, I didn't really need to adjust it much. I just made a few minor adjustments on a couple of keyframes, and that was it. If the actor is blinking in your clip, you can also adjust the mask path here to animate the blinking. I am then repeating the same exact process for the left eye mask. So using the ellipse tool, I'm creating a circular mask around the iris. Using the pen tool, I'm adding some extra points. I'm making sure the mask is precise around the iris's shape. And then I'm creating the mask path keyframes and making sure that the mask sticks to the iris's shape throughout the entire clip. Great, so now the base is all complete, and we can get to actually creating the green and blue eye looks. Duplicate the raw clip 2 times, move one duplicate layer under the left eye mask, and one under the right eye mask. You can rename them to right iris and left iris. In the track mat, select the correct solids for each layer. So for the right iris, I'm selecting right eye mask solid as track mat, and for the left iris, I'm selecting left eye mask solid as a track mat. If you solo the layers, you can see that now we have separated the irises. And this way we can now change the look of the irises separately. Okay, now click on the right iris layer, which is the raw clip duplicate, and apply a levels effect onto it. In levels, just crank up the exposure a lot. It doesn't really matter right now, we're just using it as a reference, because we will need to adjust some mask settings. So we just need the bright iris as a reference. And now open up the mask settings for the right eye mask, and we will now change the mask feather and mask expansion settings. The settings won't be precise right now, we will go back later and change them, but we need to see what we're working with. We need to see how the effect looks, at least so that we have an idea. So for now, just roughly adjust the settings and we will later come back to them and perfect them. You will notice that I am decreasing the mask expansion and increasing the feather setting. This way we kind of see this outline of the eye, which makes it look realistic. We can now go back to the layers effect. We can reset it and actually work on creating the look. So with the levels, I am just increasing the exposure of the iris, but also increasing the contrast in it. And this brings out a lot of detail in the iris. So with this, I'm just making sure I bring out the detail and making the iris stand out. I am then also adding an exposure effect, and I will increase the exposure some more and adjust gamma correction, as well as offset a little bit. Just make sure that the black points are accurate, meaning that make sure that the black point is similar to the rest of your footage. You can use the eyelash area, for example, as a reference. And now let's actually change the color of the eye. I will apply a hue saturation effect. Click colorize. In colorize hue, I will drag the setting until I see green color. And then you can also adjust colorize saturation. Just make sure that the amount of saturation is the same as the overall amount of color in your clip. Meaning don't make the iris more saturated than the rest of your footage. Basically make sure that the saturation levels are the same, matching your footage. I also decreased the colorize lightness setting a little bit. I then selected all the effects on the layer, and on my keyboard I clicked Ctrl+C to copy them, then click on the left iris duplicate, and using Ctrl+V on your keyboard, simply just paste the effects onto the layer. For now, just leave the effects be. We will first need to adjust the mask. I'm also messing around with the mask feather and mask expansion settings, and trying to match the settings to the look of the right eye. These settings also won't be final, we will later come back to them to perfect them. I created something I was happy with, and I then turned off the hue saturation effect, because we first need to adjust the exposure and levels. If you notice that the brightness and contrast of the eye isn't the same as right irises, make sure to adjust exposure and level settings, so that both irises look the same. You can then turn the hue saturation effect back on and reset it. Click colorize again, and this time drag the colorize hue until you get the blue color. You can then also change the colorize saturation and lightness settings. With these settings, just make sure that you match the right iris's look. And now that we actually have the look created, we will need to go and adjust the masks. We will need to perfect them, like I said before. So I first opened up the mask settings on the left eye mask solid, and I actually set the mask feather and expansion settings back to 0. And I noticed that I have this white kind of outline around the iris. And to get rid of it, I decided to adjust the mask until I was no longer able to see that white outline. What you need to do here will probably be individual for every clip. Just make sure that there are no white outlines from exposure and stuff, and that the effect looks realistic. So on each keyframe I created for the mask path, I'm just removing that white outline. And then I'm adjusting the mask feather and expansion settings again. This time I'm working on the final look. And then I went back to the right eye mask and I adjusted the settings to perfect them. So on the right iris I didn't really have any white outlines whatsoever, so I only needed to adjust mask feather and expansion settings. Here you can just really go back and forth with the mask settings and adjust them until they look perfect to you. Overall, on this step, make sure that everything looks perfect to you. Make sure that the exposure, hue, saturation settings, all the settings and all the mask settings look perfect to you, and make sure that you're kind of able to lock in the final look before we move forward to the next steps, because next we'll be working on finalizing everything and basically compositing the effect. So at this stage, just make sure that everything looks great to you and that you're satisfied with the look. And now we will need to add some glow to composite things. So I will go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. I am renaming it to Right Eye Glow, duplicating it, and renaming it to Left Eye Glow. Parent the right eye glow layer to the right eye null and left eye glow to left eye null. Now using the ellipse tool, create a rough circle mask around the iris. Obviously on the right eye glow layer creates the mask for the right iris, and on the left eye glow layer create the left iris's mask. The mask does not need to be precise here, so just create a rough mask around the iris. On the right eye glow layer you can then apply the glow effect and just play around with the settings until you get the look that you're happy with. Oh, and open up mask settings and adjust mask feather and mask expansion as well. I'm just creating a bit of glow on the highlights here. I don't want this effect to be too strong, but I wanted to really enhance the look. And that is actually the eye look all complete. So now I think let's work on the makeup. And like I said in the intro, it's always better to do makeup in camera. But since we didn't film this footage specifically for this effect, we didn't do any makeup, obviously. But I thought it would be cool to enhance the look anyway. So we are going to do a bit of makeup with CGI. So first I'm creating a new adjustment layer and I'm applying a Cosmo effect on it. Now I said we won't be using any plugins, and I meant it, but this step really isn't that fundamental here. You can really go without it. What this effect does basically is it smooths out the skin, and unfortunately there are no built-in After Effects features to replace it. I think so, at least I don't know of any. So if you don't have the plugin, just feel free to skip this step. It's not going to affect the final look. But yeah, I'm just gonna smooth out the skin texture a little bit. So I'm going to sample the skin and mess around with the settings. I'm not really doing much here, just smoothing out the skin. I am then creating a new adjustment layer and renaming it to Makeup Right Eye. I am then duplicating it and renaming it to Makeup Left Eye. I will then need to parent the right eye adjustment layer to the right eye null, and same logic, left eye adjustment layer to the left eye null. Now I want to try and recreate a bit of this eyeshadow that we see on Delirium. So using the pen tool, I will create a kind of triangle mask shape under the eye. And then I will create a second mask for the kind of eyeshadow above the eye. I will go ahead and do the same thing on the left eye adjustment layer. Next, I will apply a curves effect to the right eye adjustment layer, and I will drag the curve down. I set the blending mode of the layer to overlay for now, but this won't be the final blending mode. We will be changing it to multiply later, but for now I just need to adjust the mask settings. So I'm really just increasing the mask feathers until I get the look that I'm happy with. The settings will be individual for every clip, but just make sure that the triangle is feathered less than the second mask. The second mask can be feathered a lot, but for the triangle, like under eye kind of mask, you need to find the middle ground so that it's feathered and blended, but also not too much. I then changed the blending mode to multiply, and now I'm actually going to adjust the mask shape and the mask settings. I'm really just adjusting the mask shape and mask settings until I am happy with the result. Feel free to get creative here and really play around with the look. You can also use reference images from the actual series to try and kind of get close to the makeup that they have there. I also decreased the opacity of the layer a little bit. I'm then gonna go ahead and repeat all the same steps for the left eye layer. I decided to actually put the skin smooth adjustment layer on the very top, and I will keep it at the top because I think once I am done with all the makeup steps, the skin smoothing will really just bring everything together and composite it, sort of like blend it together. I am then creating a new adjustment layer again, and I am renaming it to Makeup Blush Right. I am then duplicating it and also renaming it to Blush Left. Also parent those layers to right and left eye nulls. And here I am just creating the rough masks above the cheekbones kind of area, where the blush would supposed to be, technically. I am then applying a curves effect, and in the curves effect you can change the channels to red, green or blue to add color. I started with the green, and I just dragged it down a little bit to add this magenta kind of color. I then changed the blending mode of the layer to soft light, and then I went on adjusting the curves. So I went through the green channel, the red channel and the blue channel, and I'm creating this kind of saturated blush effect. Finally, I went to the mask settings and adjusted the mask feather like a lot. It has to be really feathered out and blended. You can also adjust the mask shape if you want. Using Ctrl-C, I then copied the curves effect, and using Ctrl-V, I pasted it onto the blush left layer. I set the mask feather to the exact same amount as the right blush layer, and I also changed the blending mode to soft light, and also adjust the shape of the mask if you need to. I then also added a vibrance effect, and I increased vibrance by like 65. Then I also just copy-pasted the effect. And finally, I opened up the opacity settings on both layers and adjusted the opacity. I left it at something like 70%. And I think we're gonna do just one last thing. I really wanna add some kind of glow, almost like glitter, to the outskirts of the eye. It won't be like real makeup, obviously, but it's something. So create a new adjustment layer, and I'm renaming it to Makeup Highlights Right. I'm then also duplicating it and renaming it to Left. Also parent the adjustment layers to right and left nulls. And I'm creating a rough mask around those outskirts of the eye, where I want the glitter to be. I am then applying a curves effect to the right adjustment layer, and I'm really increasing highlights here. Then I increased the mask feather and adjusted the mask a bit. I then copy-pasted the curves effect onto the left adjustment layer, and also increased the mask feather and changed the shape of the mask. And now we have a little bit of this glow to kind of composite things. It's not much, but I kind of like it. I turned the smooth skin layer back on, and that's it. We actually have a completed look. With all the effects finally in place, I am now working on the color grading of the clip. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more tutorials where we only use built-in After Effects features, let us know in the comments down below. We've actually been wondering about that. By the way, the actress you see in the clip is my friend Megan. Megan is a professional actress and she is really talented, so I will make sure to leave all her links down below. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, and like, comment, share. We appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.